What sector the Premier? You as an activity professional, you as a team leader, what sector are we working in currently?
Okay.
Anybody want to have a guess? Education, sport, yeah? Anyone else? Okay, so the session we're working is the active leisure industry. Okay, so that is the sector that we're working in. So it's made up of 5 areas. So I want you to think about them. Okay, and if you can have a guess, the 5 sub areas that we work in. So what are the 5 sub sectors that we work in? Have a guess. What makes up the active leisure sector? It's important that we get this understanding because then we can look at collaboration. Anyone want to share them? Have a guess? Good answer.
Brilliant. Thanks, Toad.
Okay, so we actually work in 5 subsectors across the active leisure industry. So sport and rec, health and fitness, play work, the outdoors, and believe it or not, caravans. I don't know how many of you are selling caravans on your lunchtime club. A couple of people. For now, shoot the chat box. Right, I'll just mute you, Laura, if that's okay. Good stuff. Right, okay, so the sport and recreation and health and fitness, play work, the outdoors and caravans are the sectors that make up the active learning industry. So it's important when you're working, if you're working on your apprenticeship, especially with your knowledge, skills and behaviours, if you're doing your reflective accounts, that you know the opportunities and potential collaborations that are around us. It's also that important as a coach or if you're going into schools that you know this. And we'll talk about some of the positives for knowing this as well. So as a sector then, especially in times like we are experiencing at the moment, now I want to see lots of things going on in the chat box. If you can please just think about what contributions, so not monetary, not physical money, but what contributions are we bringing to the society that we live in? So what do you do? So this is time to praise yourself. What do you do as a job? What are you bringing to the forefront to the community? Chuck them in here. Darren, David, you can get involved as well. Get some ideas in. So health and lifestyle, yeah. Thanks, Tiana. Does everyone know how to use the chat box? Just press the 3 little dots and then next to it you'll see a message box. Just make sure. Activity. Bradley, have we got any more details on that? What does activity mean? Opportunity for people to speak, meet, engage, developing sport and life. So what are you an advocate of every day? What do you bring? Some of these would have been touched on at yesterday's sessions. Healthy, active lifestyle for those would boost the morale. Brilliant. Also, sport is a powerful thing for that. Activities in the community to engage and participate. Fun and enjoyment. Yeah, role model for children. Brilliant. So giving people that role model. George spoke about it yesterday morning about you guys all having that positive role model that probably has come through sport, and that's why you're doing what you do today. Okay. So how do we boost the economy then? What does our sector do to boost the economy? And it's important you know this because you know the benefits that we can provide, okay, when collaborating with schools, communities, sports clubs. What economic contributions do we make? So what money are we bringing in for the government, for the society? What are we bringing in? What do you think? Anybody have a guess? No, I'll take your silence as not sure. Okay, so think about one we've got at the moment. So exercise, NHS, those that are in good shape, okay, are less risk at the moment to the coronavirus. Sport and the active leisure sector, okay, have played a big part in reducing those numbers, so saving money for the NHS. So that's a big plus point from what we do. Anyone got any other ideas that we probably benefit society from being that role model, pushing that participation? There's a lovely bird in the background.
Are we adding money into like the leisure centres? Because if we show a active lifestyle to kids, when they grow up, they'll be more likely to go to the gym or do exercise. So we're adding money in that way.
Brilliant. Oh, great idea. That's a great shout. Because if you think about if a child goes and they go in your tennis lesson, they like tennis, they decide to go to the local sports centre with mum and dad on the weekend to play tennis. It's a real positive that we're in that economy. What about if it was a sport and they enjoyed that sport, so they want to go and watch it on the Saturday or Sunday, and they want to join a local club? It's really important that we know these things when we're completing our apprenticeship reflective accounts. We need to evidence that we are knowledgeable in what our sector does for the society and the economy, but also we need to know as well what we're doing individually as an activity professional. So at the moment, our leisure sector, we contribute £8.6 billion to the UK economy. So through different avenues, we raise as a sector £8.6 billion, which is a lot of money. And that's a year. Okay, it employs over 634,000 people and nearly 2 million volunteers. So why is the volunteer part important? 2 million volunteers, what's that doing? If we talk about them social benefits, what's that doing? So what does a volunteer do? It's really important for your apprenticeship. You need to know what volunteers and the power of volunteers can have in our sector. To inspire, yeah, Bradley, great input. I'm loving it. So we're inspiring. So volunteers are there. So who takes part in park runs? Not at the moment, obviously, but who takes part in park runs normally? Anybody? Yeah, Bradley, park runner. Have you volunteered as well? You're free to share your mic if you want, mate. It's fine, you can get involved. So they're a massive contribution to our sector, yeah? And they're not costing any money. It's really important when we're doing our apprenticeship, we look at ways we can introduce volunteers into what we do. And also, if you're business owners, if you're team leaders, if you're activity professionals, how can you engage volunteers to maximise what you're doing in your schools and your potential? So we talk about volunteering for a youth football coach on the weekend. Bradley's a busy boy. David Gore allows events to run, linking back to London 2012. So you look at all the, what were they called? You have to tell me, but they were called something that was really kind of quite a powerful thing to do. And I'm sure them other opportunities will be coming. But as apprentices, as activity professionals working in your school, it's important that you look for these collaboration opportunities. And when we talk about that later, we'll be able to discuss that. Okay, so does anyone know who these are? So it's SIMSPA. Yeah, I'm going to give you a little task now. You've got 2 minutes. So this is going to really test your IT skills. 2 minutes to get on your phone, get on your laptop. And I want you to Google and find out one fact about SIMSPA and put it in the box. So Sarah's already ahead of the game. You can take a copy and paste. You can put a screenshot in, whatever you want to do, in the chat box. Now, I know we've got a lot more people on than those who are getting engaged. I understand some people prefer to take the back seat. But this is a real easy one. Go onto the Google, find out who SIMSPA are and try and find me a weird and wonderful fact about them and pop it in the chat box. It's important that we know who they are, but it's not uncommon that you wouldn't know who they are. So don't worry about that. SIMSPA is a professional development body for the UK sport and physical activity sector. It's a new governing body of qualifications, so keep them coming. See if you can find a weird and wonderful one if you've already found one. So Beth, Sarah, see if we can find something else that we might get a bonus point if no one else has found it. Started in 1921. Beth and Sarah are winning away unless everyone else is watching it on their phone.
Oh, yeah, I've got to if I think I can.
Okay, I'm going to do the work for you then. So we have a nice little video quickly, just to double check before we play the whole thing. Can you just give me a thumbs up if you hear the sound? Thanks, Paul. Okay. Cheers, Cole. Okay, little video for you then. Get
Hello, my name is
out of using my voice or
Director
listening to me.
of Strategy for Simspa. Many of you may not know who we are, so we are actually the Chartered Institute for the sector. Simspa stands for the Chartered Institute for the Management of Sport and Physical Activity. And the aim of the next 15 minutes or so is just to give you a bit of a background understanding of the work that we've been doing over the past 2 years. And then when I come to present to you next week on Friday, we can tell you about some of the exciting stuff that we're doing moving forward. So, first off, it's worth explaining what SIMSPA's purpose is. We facilitate an employer-led approach to improving the professionalism and education standards for the skilled employment sector. By doing that, we aim to attract and retain the best and brightest talent to allow them a clear career pathway into and through the sector. So, a quick history lesson. Back in 2015, the DCMS led a consultation on a new strategy for an active nation. This was published in December 2015. This was a real milestone moment for the sector, as this was the first strategy for 13 years. In the strategy, the government gave backing for SIMSPA for our work to professionalise the sector, and in it gave 2 specific asks for the Chartered Institute. The first one was to create a single set of standards for all sport and physical activity professionals with a similar, clear and rigorous assessment and awarding, validating qualifications. And the second ask was to work with Sport England on creating a strategy that will work towards greater professionalisation of our sector with a clear framework of CPD provision.
Okay, just stop it there. Why is that important? Why are those 2 questions important to what we do in our sector? I'm going to ask if you can be brave and open the mic now. If anyone's got an idea why they're important. Why are they important to you as an activity professional working for Premier? Anyone want to take a guess? None? We're all going to sit on our hands. David? Gould? Can you give us an answer why we think that ask 1 is important? No, Darren?
Thanks for having me. Hello?
No, you're fine. I was just going to say, having a look at these 2 asks, so what do we think is important? Why are these 2 important to our roles as activity professionals?
I think it gives us some standards, some guidance, some areas to link into, to follow, to make sure that we're working in line with the national expectations rather than just kind of going off on a whim on our own.
Yeah. So what does that stop? What potential does that give us as an organisation, as a network? What does that do for Premier and you guys working as activity professionals, putting on the Premier uniform every day? What does that do? If we're SIMSPA recognised, what does that do?
Shows your level of standards. It's kind of like a recognised title, recognise an award to kind of say, look, we are,
Yep.
you know, kind of stamped, earmarked at a certain standard. So if you're working with Premier, who are linking in and working under the guidance of governing bodies and you know, rule makers, if you like, decision makers, then there's a lot more power and validity for those around working with Premier. Think, hang on a minute, yeah, the guys here, they know what they're doing. There's a reason we want to work with them.
Definitely. And I think Premier is a founding partner with Simspa, so a founding member. It's really important that we've played a part in creating those standards as well. So it's setting us above other providers as well that haven't quite got to the standards that are required. So when you guys are going in, you're fully prepared, and you can see some of the training now you've had previously will link to this. So it's really important when we're thinking about potential in our sector that we have that accreditation as well. So you hear about Michelin star restaurants. They've got accreditation because of a certain reason. You drive your car, you have to have an MOT. It's accredited. Okay, you can't drive it without one. This is the way that coaching's going as well. So to be able to go into schools, to be able to work, to be able to deliver extracurricular activities in a school setting or community setting, it's important because you'll need to have SIMSPA recognised accreditation. So we'll move on a little bit, and then we'll.
So they were two quite big asks for us as an organisation. The key word in there is all sport and physical activity professionals. So we needed to actually understand what that actually meant to us. So we did a lot of research, and in essence, we managed to split the sector into 5 industries. Industries by the fact that we have core employers who have similar aims and similar ways of working. And if this was going to be an employer-led approach, we wanted to make sure that it was led by employers. So we split the sector into leisure operations, which is predominantly leisure centres, exercise and fitness, which is your fitness gyms, and your private operators of fitness gyms. Performance sport and administration, this is your professional clubs and national governing bodies. Community sport, this is your private coaching organisations, county sports partnership type work, street games, those sorts of organisations that predominantly work at a grassroots level, and physical activity. That's an emerging strand for us, so that was very much driven by the health side of the sector, so looking at how our work can actually improve the health of the nation. So a really exciting piece of work for us to do. So we then looked at all the different jobs in the sector, and in total, over a 3-month period, we found over 300 different job descriptions or job adverts that were being advertised, all with different job descriptions, job titles, and job roles. We spent a number of months rationalising that all down, and we were able to split all.
Apologies. Okay, so just stopping it there. So, which ones do we come into? In the chat box, what are their chosen sectors for SIMSPA accreditation? What boxes do we come into? It's important that we know this if we're completing our apprenticeship, especially community sport and health officer apprentices. You'll be asked this. Community, yeah, excellent. Just community? So we're a private organisation, yeah? Okay, so we'll move on then, but think about that physical activity strand that's being built now. What does Premier have as an opportunity or potential to really engage more customers, more people in that physical activity and mental health benefit? What does Premier have? What can you evidence? Would you use? There's a product that Premier delivers. Anybody got the answer? No? Okay, so we've got Premier Wellbeing. So has anyone delivered Premier Wellbeing? Thumbs up if you have in the box. If you haven't, then I can tell you a little bit about it, but it's for another day. But it's important that you know that we've got this offer. If you hear opportunities arise in your schools or in your community settings, that we do have another product or another offer to, again, engage and improve wellbeing for people around the community. So, yeah, Heather, it's worth sharing a little bit of insight for those who haven't heard of it before, so they don't get fed up with my voice. Are you happy to share your mic, Heather?
Sure.
Thank you. So health and well-being, Heather, if you could just explain to those who haven't come across it yet in their journey.
So I teach fun nutrition. So it's basically teaching kids about healthy foods and what food does to our bodies. So like obviously milk makes us stronger and things like that. Then we also do about what we should drink, what's the healthiest things to drink. It's just about like what their lives are like outside of school and how healthy eating and a healthy lifestyle could help them in the future.
What are the big things you've taken from it? What are the big things you've seen as the real kind of, oh wow, that means so much that I've achieved that? Or what would you say you take from it when you go home at night?
It's mainly like how much kids don't actually realise. So like I did a session a couple of weeks ago about like where food comes from and like food morals, and a lot of kids didn't realise that food doesn't just come from England, like it comes from all over the place, and they didn't realise like bananas don't grow in this country and things like that. It's just they just don't have knowledge about like food. They just think it turns up in the shops and then in the cupboards. It's not. They don't realise the like how much effort and how much like food like has an impact on people's lives and things.
From farm to plate, so literally from that journey, it's really important. So we talk about you being motivational role models. This is a great opportunity where you can potentially engage someone in a different way that they just didn't know, and that's where our sector is so powerful. Thank you for that, Heather. Appreciate that. Okay, so last couple of slides, because I'm conscious we've got 5 minutes left. So from what we know of our sector, including Caravan, in our sector, what collaborations could you now go out to maximise your potential, to maximise your outcomes with participants you work with? What collaborations could we work with in our sector to really boost that? So it's very, at the moment, conversations have been guided towards internally with Premier, but as the world evolves and everything gets a lot closer together through technology now, what can we do to collaborate? How, when, and what can you guys do? So feel free to share in the box if you've got any ideas. I'd love to hear some, if possible. What could you do? What could you go and collaborate with? What community clubs have you got around you? What local sports centres? What school events? What could you do as a collaboration?
Hi, Nick. I'll share one.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
So, yeah, I think for anyone maybe who delivers an extracurricular club, let's say, for example, football, you may be a young football coach or know someone in a local area, you can look to create some kind of link. So if there's some keen footballers in your extracurricular club, you think, you know what, they need to do it, they're not currently a part of the team, but really good for them, you can make contact and you could say, look, we've got some good players. Are you looking to recruit any more? Because we can send some your way. And then before you know, you've got a link. I think the school will be buzzing about that, parents and wanting to support. And all in all, you're just supporting the journey of that child from school into extracurricular socialising outside of school into competitive club environment.
And that's massive. We just spoke about that for the last 40 minutes about the benefits of physical activity and what we can do. taking that child and being able to give them that next step on their journey, which you've all probably come through. You've all played in clubs, netball clubs, table tennis clubs, football, rugby, everything that you've done, okay, was because that one person or your parent or your relative decided to say, right, I'm going to engage them into that club. Why can't that be us? Why can't we give routes and opportunities? And also the other way around, why can't we offer volunteers to come in and support what we're doing as a network? It's really important that collaboration, and you're seeing it around the world at the moment, people having to get together and work together to work smart. Any other ideas? We'll have one more if we can. Anyone? Okay, we'll take it one more further then. So one step further. So the last one then. So we're talking about reaching your potential in the sector. So if you're going to sit still, then you're not going to sit still, you're going to go backwards. So how are you going to go forwards? How are you going to move now to make yourself a better asset for yourself, a better asset for the children you're working with, for the schools that want you in, for the employers that you get? So I've got a little 24/7 31 challenge. You can keep these to yourself. But what are you going to do in 24 hours that is going to make you, okay, achieve a bigger potential? What are you going to do in the next 7 days that is going to make you, okay, achieve a higher potential? And what are you going to do in the next month? So you've got plenty of time to think about this. You've got plenty of time not to be going anywhere, but there's plenty of time you can put actions in to actually do this. You've got 24 hours to decide something real quick. What's your quick win? What could you go and do now? You could go and research about SIMSA. You could go and find out community links. You could go and touch base with your team leader and say, look, I'm really interested in perhaps seeing if we can work with a local club link to engage people, because we've got loads of gymnastics clubs, but when they get to the end, could we work with a local elite gymnastics club to really have a funnel going into feeder, which is what British Gymnastics are aiming for us to do? What could you do in 7 days? So it might take a little bit longer, and it might take a little bit of collaboration between you and your peers. What could you do with your group to really ensure that you as a organisation, you as a local team, okay, can reach your potential? And then the big one, 31 days, which might take a little bit more effort, a little bit more conscious research and actions. What could you do in the next month? And that's a question to ask you. So if you can have a think about that, hopefully it's been worthwhile, especially for the apprentices when this comes up in your knowledge, skills and behaviours test about how you're working with local organisations and national organisations to collaborate using volunteers, safely knowing how we can monitor accredited professionals going into the workplace. This will all help you with what you guys are going to have to evidence. So you can use this webinar to take some stuff from it and hopefully use that in your reflective accounts and evidence as they come. Anybody who's an activity professional, though, this will still 100% help you to reach a higher potential, full potential of what you need to be doing as an activity professional, going out there and engaging and motivating the community that you work